is up? I know it has been quite a bit of time since I have filmed, and I am sorry, but I'm back and I found a little bit of time to film, so I wanted to get this video out to you guys. You guys have like over exceeded my expectations for my bankruptcy video. So just before I even get into this, if you have not seen my first bankruptcy video, go to that video first. This is the second part of the video. I'll link it up here. I'll put it in the description. This is not about my experience. My first video is about my experience, what I went through, if I regret it, all that stuff. This one right here is going to be just answering a bunch of like my most asked questions that are on that video. I still to this day get questions on that video. It's one of my most viewed videos. So I'm here for a part 2 to answer these questions. So I have my questions, I have my water. Let's get through these questions. I'm gonna preface this with, I am not a lawyer. I do not know laws in every state or country, or, you know, I don't even know if they're different by city. I have no idea. I'm just sharing with you what my lawyer told me, what I went through. So if you think that this is something that you are serious about, that you wanna do, call somebody up, go to them, take a free consultation. They'll explain to you what you need to do or what your options are, or even if it's a good fit for you or not. What is the fee and does it differ by state? So like I said, I don't really know all the laws in every state. So it could differ by state. I don't know. I filed bankruptcy in St. Louis, Missouri. So I don't know if it's different by city or by county or by state. I have no idea, but I will say that I had a flat fee of $1,500, $1,500, every single thing that we had to go through, the paperwork, all of it, that took care of everything. Everything was included in that amount. Now, my lawyer told us that we should not pay more than that for Chapter 7. Like, we should never have to pay more than $1,500. So maybe you can find it for less. I don't know. But if you find it for more, then maybe look somewhere else. Having joint accounts with a spouse or a co-signer. I have gotten this question a few times. Like, people who are married, they want to know, okay, I want to file bankruptcy, but my husband or my wife is on my account. Like, do they have to file also, et cetera, et cetera. All of my credit cards that I had, they were only in my name. My husband's name was not on anything. It was just my name. So it did not affect him. Just because we're married, it didn't shoot his credit score down or like ruin his credit or anything like that. He didn't have to tack on with me or anything. It was only my name. So only my credit was affected and only my accounts were affected. Now, we did have a joint bank account. It was not a credit account, it was a bank account. It was just our regular bank. And before we filed bankruptcy, before we officially put in the paperwork to file, we opened up a new bank account. The only reason that we did this, our lawyer suggested that we do this because I had a credit card through one of the banks, or like I had one of my credit cards through the bank that we had. So he was like, if you file bankruptcy, any money that you put into that, they're going to take all of that money out of your account. So I highly suggest to open it up somewhere else. So we did. Before we officially filed, we went opened a new just regular checking account, and both of our names were on that one, just like both of our names were on this one. And since the credit card was through that bank, my husband's name was on our bank, but not the credit card, and it didn't affect him in any way. How long until you can build your credit back up? So this one was a little tricky, because what my lawyer had told me was, as soon as you're done, wait about like a week or two, maybe a month, go out and get a store credit card. Now, obviously, like, that was the whole reason I was in this mess, was having a credit card. But if you want to build your credit up, you're going to need some type of credit. Now, I fully understand if you don't trust yourself yet, because I didn't. I waited I think like a full year after I filed until I actually opened a credit card. To this day, I still have the same credit card. I have not opened anymore. I actually applied for Amazon and I got approved right away, and it was nice, but it was dangerous because you can buy literally anything on Amazon. $500 or $600 is what I got approved for that first card opening up, which I think I feel like is a decent amount for having filed bankruptcy and like having that on your credit. Like, they know that it's there, but they still gave me a decent amount. But I've paid it off in full maybe 2 or 3 times, and I think currently it has $16 on it because I still want to show that I'm being active and using it correctly, but it's not in any way maxed out. It just depends on you. Like, I think you can go out and get a credit card like right after you file and help build your credit back up, but I think, to be honest, it's going to depend on you and how much you actually trust yourself doing it. I do know that there are some people that can go out and get cars right away, but like, your interest rate is just going to be higher. Just keep that in mind. Like, whatever you get, whether it's a credit card, a car, or if you get like student loans, definitely are going to help you with your credit if you pay any bit on that. So just keep that in mind. Take it at your own pace and then learn to build it back up. Wait till you trust yourself, because now I definitely trust myself with a credit card. It just takes a little bit. Turning in my car versus keeping my car. Okay, so when you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, if you have a house or a car, you have the full option of putting those into your bankruptcy or keeping them separate. So say you own a house and you own a car, but all you want is your medical bills and your credit cards, and you want all that debt. You want that in there, but you still want to keep your house and your car. You can totally do that. You don't have to get rid of your car. You don't have to get rid of your house. That is not a thing that you have to do. So if someone is telling you that, I promise you do not. So we don't own our house. We live in my grandma's house. So we didn't have to worry about that, but I did have a car in my name. Now, the thing that was weighing on me is we were actually trying to get a new car, and my car was just constantly breaking down. It was really bad. And I had a friend who, I have a few friends who are in dealerships, and she checked out my car and she told me that even if I was to trade in my car, I would still have to pay more because I wouldn't get I owed more than what it was worth. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw my car in there. They're going to take that away, and then we will get a new car. And the only reason we got a new car is it is in my husband's name. It is not in my name. So my name is still not on my car, but it's still our car because we're married. If you're single, I don't know exactly how that would work, although I do know that you could get approved for a car. It's just the interest rate is going to be insanely high. So keep that in mind. Did I have to go to court? Yes, I did have to go to court, but it wasn't like a formal court that you see in like Law and Order. It was like a very tiny room, and there was maybe 15 people in there other than me. And then there was the judge, and then everybody that was there, they had their own lawyers with them. So my lawyer showed up when it was my time to go up, because you had a scheduled time that you have to be there. And pretty much the judge just goes over everything. He checks all of your stuff out, and he just kind of makes sure that you are a good applicant for bankruptcy. Like, he just wants to make sure that you're not like stashing a bunch of money, or that you're not like reckless and that you're just gonna like do this all over again, whatever. So I went up to the table when it was my turn. My lawyer sat with me. He swore me in under oath, and I had to tell him I kind of don't remember everything, but I do know that he did ask me. I had to go through this paperwork with him, and I had to agree with say that like the questions were right, or that my situation was correctly written on the paper. I honestly think I was there for maybe an hour, but I didn't sit in front of the judge for an hour. I sat in front of him for like maybe 15-20 minutes, and as soon as I was done, I was able to go. So I didn't have to like wait for all those other people to go up. I got to leave as soon as my turn was over. Did you pay up front? Yes, I did pay up front the $1,500 fee. We got it written off as a gift. So some people were like, well, how did you afford it? Because a lot of people are going through bankruptcy. They just don't have the extra money. Like, clearly that's the reason you need to go file bankruptcy, because you just don't have it. And we were able to get a gift donation from my uncle, and my uncle had to write off and say that like we don't have to pay him back, but we definitely did afterwards, just because I felt weird about not paying him back. So I did pay him back. Every lawyer may be different. They might be able to put you on a payment plan, or have you pay like as you go. But our lawyer that we went to, it was you pay up front and then everything gets started. Did you stop making payments? Yes. The moment we knew 100% for sure we were filing bankruptcy, like not even once we filed, like once we knew we were filing, our lawyer advised us to stop making any and all payments to everything. Thank you, honey. To everything that we owed on. So because it's just money going in the trash, really. There's no point in putting more money towards the stuff when it's just gonna get wiped anyway. Did you have a problem opening a new bank account? No, we did not have a problem opening a new bank account because, like I said earlier, we opened our new bank account before we filed bankruptcy. So I would open up a new account somewhere else, new checking account, before you file, if you're worried about your specific bank or if you don't have a bank account maybe. Are there taxes on bankruptcy? No, not that I know of. It's been a few years and I have not paid any taxes on bankruptcy at all. All right, my credit score, what was it before, during, and what is it now? So before I filed, it wasn't terrible, but I was just in a lot of debt. So I was still making minimum payments. So it wasn't like I was missing the payments, but I was still just drowning in debt. Before we filed, I want to say that my credit was at like between like 615 and 630 was what my credit score was. Not bad, not fantastic. It was, you know, it was just kind of like, okay. And then once we filed bankruptcy and once everything went through, so he said that it would take a little bit for everything to completely like come off and pull off and fall off my credit. I think it shot down to, I think the lowest that I saw was about 500. And the only reason I don't think that it went lower than that is because I still had my student loans on my credit. So it didn't fully drop, I guess, to the beginning, whatever credit starts at. I don't know if it goes to 0, 300, whatever. But mine, the lowest that I noticed was 500. And now I think I have not checked my credit. So I just went and checked my credit. My credit is now 669, which is pretty good, I feel like. I did just pay off my credit card again. So it might take about it usually takes about 30 days for after you make payments for your credit to go up. So it's probably a little bit higher than that. It just hasn't updated yet. Listing assets. So some people had asked me about different assets. Do I have to put in my jewelry or my wedding ring or my TVs, or like what all do I have to put in? But we lived with my grandma when we filed, and I really didn't have to, like I told him I owned a TV, and I told him that I had clothes, and really the only thing that they were concerned about was they wanted to know about like designer brands, stuff that was actually of value that could be sold to pay off your debt. So they did not count in my wedding ring at all, but they did count in fine jewelry. So if you had any other fine jewelry, whether it's earrings or necklaces or anything else, other big rings that cost a decent amount of money, they do ask about those. But the wedding ring, they did not count in my wedding ring. And then they asked about like DVDs, you know, like DVD players, electronics, computers, any property that we owned or boats or anything like that. We didn't own any of that stuff. So I would assume if you own like a speedboat or jet skis or, you know, trailers or stuff like that, stuff that you have paid off that is yours, they do want to know the value of that. And I think it's mainly because they want to know if you have anything that you could actually liquidate to pay off your debt and you're just not doing it. So they want to know those things first so that they can evaluate to see if you even should be filing for bankruptcy or if you should just be selling your stuff to pay off your debt first. How long does it take? So we filed Halloween of 2016, which is crazy because it's coming up on 3 years. So we filed Halloween, and I think we went to court, I want to say sometime in November or December, and then everything was officially like put off and shut off my credit and completely like 100% finalized in like February or March. It did take a little bit of time. I didn't have to keep going back to the lawyer or to court or anything like that. It was just from the time that we filed and we started filling out that paperwork and all that stuff to the time that everything was completely gone and off of my credit, it took a decent amount of time. It took a few months. I do remember though that my lawyer said that sometimes it can go a lot faster and sometimes it can be a lot slower. So I think it may just depend on the companies that you're going through. Like your credit card companies, your medical bill companies, like those people, I think it might depend on them sometimes. So it might differ depending on your situation or maybe about how much you owe. Does it affect student loans?
No.
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 The only thing that affects your student loans that gets those to go away is death. did, like, this is a little tiny bit off subject, but it's about student loans. So I had deferred my student loans for a few years just because we didn't have the money. But we've gotten to a point where this year I didn't want to defer them anymore, because I was getting to the point where like my interest just kept building and I wasn't paying anything off. So it was becoming more and more and more of a hassle. So I actually applied for income driven payments. And what that means is they just take your taxes from the year before, and then they base your payments off of what you make. So if you don't make that much, you could get like a $0 payment. But my payments on my student loans, no joke, went from $600 to $45 a month. That's it. I'm not even kidding, and I'm perfectly okay with that. So just that little tip, look into income driven payments. Filing with no income. So I don't have an income. I have no income whatsoever. My husband works, but I do not. So they had to, since I'm married, they put his income down, but he also had to sign a thing that he wasn't like liable or like responsible for my bills, because they're not his, they're mine. But I am a stay-at-home mom, so I coach now, and I have my coaching business now. But back then I didn't have any type of income whatsoever, like zero was coming in. So I was still able to file. They didn't have any problem with that, and obviously they could see that clearly I couldn't repay my stuff if I didn't have an income. Getting approved for credit cards, home loans, auto loans, etc. I covered this a little bit earlier. So credit cards, it's gonna depend on the company, to be honest. I got denied by a lot of companies. I didn't apply for like 27 credit cards or anything like that. I took it and spaced it out over time. So if I applied for one and I got denied, I waited like 2 more months before I even applied for another one. You don't have to do that, but that's what I felt comfortable with. I got denied right away for the Disney card, which may be a good thing, but I got denied for the Disney card because of the bankruptcy. It denied me immediately. Like smaller store cards, like if you go to Victoria's Secret or like Foot Locker or I don't even know who has credit cards anymore. Ulta, I don't know, somewhere that you trust yourself to not go crazy and spend like tons and tons and tons of money. Just like a store, maybe Walmart, JCPenney's, somewhere, something like that. Maybe try one of those stores. Home loans, like I said, most banks, it takes about 2.5 years for you to be able to be put onto, even if you're a co-signer. So think about that. Maybe just rent for a while. If you really, really want a house now, maybe wait and get a house first before you file bankruptcy, because it could take 2.5 or more years for you to be able to get a house, unless your spouse or somebody else is paying for it or co-signing for it. You just won't be able to be put on it. And I do know that the one bank, like our bank that we personally have right now, is a credit union, and they told us that immediately we would be denied, even though it's been 2.5 years. They won't take anybody, I want to say they said under 5 years. So they said it has to be at least 5 years for that bank. So I think it depends on what bank you go through, or like what mortgage company you go through. Auto loans. So like I said, my aunt worked for a dealership, and she told me that people would turn right around, file bankruptcy, get rid of their cars, go in like a few days later and go get approved for a brand new car. You can't do that. Keep in mind, interest rates will be super high, so your payments will be super high. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about that, or see if somebody else, if you have a spouse, see if they'll just put it in their name. That's what we did, and it works out great for us. Okay, Chapter 7 versus Chapter 13. So Chapter 7 is where they take everything you owe all this stuff right here. They take it and then they just throw it away. I don't know where it goes. I don't understand. I don't know how this works. I really don't get it. But it's kind of like just, it's a godsend, to be honest. I really think it is, because it gives you like a second chance. Like, hey, I messed up. I just need a quick fix. Like, can you help me out? God, universe, good vibes, whatever it is that you're believing in. But I swear, like, I think that this was like a godsend for me, because it was like, okay, God, I messed up. I'm sorry, forgive me. And he's like, okay, sweet. Took an eraser to all that debt. That's Chapter 7. Chapter 13, which I don't know why most people do it, but I know that a lot of people do it. A lot of people that own their own companies. So like if you own like a lawn care company, or if you own a flower shop or like something like that's smaller, like a smaller shop or smaller business, if you own your own business, a lot of the times they will do chapter 7 or chapter 13, I mean, because when you do chapter 13, what it is, instead of making 17, 25 monthly payments, you know, whatever, if you have all these monthly payments, you have to pay so much. What that does is it takes everything that you owe and it consolidates it into one payment. It could be low, it could be high, I'm not really sure, but it consolidates everything into one payment so that you're still paying it back. It's just going to take you a little bit longer and you're only paying one payment versus 30 different payments over the course of a month. You're just paying one payment. So that is the difference between 7 and 13. Go see a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. So many people ask questions. I still, to this day, do not regret filing bankruptcy. I've learned so much from doing it. I've had people like completely rag on me. I've had people say horrible, hurtful things in the other video, and I don't even care because I know that I didn't file bankruptcy so that I could go back out and screw up my like credit and screw up my family's life getting into debt with all these other things. Yes, I own nice things. Now, last video, somebody commented, "Ooh, I saw that you had a Louis Vuitton bag." Yes, I do. It was a gift from my brother for Mother's Day. Thank you very much. It's not a burden or a sin or something wrong to have nice things. You can build yourself back up after you go through bankruptcy. It's not like you file bankruptcy and your entire life ends and you're not a normal human anymore and you're some hobo living on the street. That's not what this is. Bankruptcy is a second chance, and I definitely recommend it to anybody who's struggling. It doesn't matter if you're 21 or 52. It doesn't matter. It's a good thing if you're going to use it in a good way. Don't go out and do it and then rack up a bunch of credit cards and then do it again. There are people who actually do this. You can only file bankruptcy once every 7 years. There are people that live on that. They go, they file bankruptcy, they get a bunch of credit cards, they rack everything up, they live their lives, they live on this amazing blah, blah, whatever. That gives me too much anxiety. I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to file bankruptcy ever again. I'm happy with where we are right now, and we're doing great. We don't have debt besides student loans. Other than that, we have no debt. We have student loans and we have our car. That's it. We have nothing else. And like I said, my credit card that I have, there's $18 on it, and I'm paying that on Wednesday. Do what you need to do. Don't let somebody else tell you, "Oh, that's not a good idea. Oh, that's stupid. Oh, you can't do this, this, and this." Go see a lawyer. Free consultations. Most of them have free consultations. Go to one that has a free consultation if you can't afford to pay for a consultation. My consultation was free. It was amazing. Our lawyer was awesome. He guided us in like the perfect direction, and he like held my hand the entire way, which was awesome because I had no clue what I was doing. And I just felt like an idiot because I turned 18 and I got a bunch of credit cards and then I just racked them all up and I was stupid. So I highly suggest file bankruptcy if it's for you. If it's not for you, why are you watching this video? If you're here to support me, thanks. I appreciate it. Click this subscribe button, like this video if it helped you, share with somebody that you know if they need help with going through bankruptcy. Like I said, that first video will be down in the description and I will link it and I will put it everywhere that I can. Go check that one out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me through this time of having a baby where she never lets me film anything. And if you guys could, please subscribe because I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers and it's just blowing my mind how close we are. So make this family strong. I will see you guys later. Bye.